Yes, we're live now. Cheers and huzzah. Welcome back to the tavern. If this is your first time in the tavern, welcome. If you were at my last tavern live stream, welcome back. All right. So, as I said before, as I said in my last live stream, I think I'm going to start calling these live streams the tavern and have almost like a tavern-like feel to them. I'm going to be working on the tavern aesthetic here. For right now, this is our tavern aesthetic. My 18th century inspired mug made by my good friend in the living history community, Mike Flaherty. Cheers and huzzah. So, and yes, if you have your own tavern-like beverage, please bring it and just kind of pull up, get comfortable, and yeah, we will begin. And also part of my tavern setup is my candle. This is another mythologies candle, if you will. And you might say I'm a little bit obsessed with this candle company. They are based in they are based in like fantasy. That's what inspires a lot of their candles. Fantasy themes, history themes. They've done a Middle Earth inspired candle. They have done right now their most recent candle line for winter is based off of the Narnia Chronicles, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it's called Always Winter, Never Christmas. And I do have one of the candles from there, the lamppost, and I did do an unboxing for that one. So yes, so there's that, and this one, it is The Alchemist. So this came out. They put this out as a solo candle at Halloween, at around like Halloween time, and I figured it would be befitting tonight since it's the very very first week of 2021, the new year. And there's going to be a lot of alchemy going on in here. So, all right. So yes, the Alchemist candle. It is. The mood, it's frayed scrolls, ancient tomes, and vials fill the dimly lit laboratory, bubbling liquid carefully measured. The alchemist brews his next magical potion. Notes of earthy patchouli, powdery sandalwood, spicy cinnamon, vetiver, I think. Sorry if I completely butchered that. And cedarwood and amber. So yes, this is quite the fragrance. I think it definitely suits a tavern setting very well, in my opinion. Also, I plan to use this as one of my candles that I will burn as I create alchemy. Through music, as well as some other things I am planning on creating. But yes, like I said, these live streams will be called the Tavern from here on out. And I really, as you guys know, as you know, I have toyed with the idea of doing a podcast. However, I'm not sure if time right now would permit me to do anything pre-recorded, unless, of course, it was something pre-recorded at, say, a living history event that I was going to be at anyway. I could definitely do an interview with somebody from there, which I kind of do, but it's been on camera. And I do have like a portable like a little portable recorder / microphone that I can easily take with me to living history and reenactment events to interview people. Because I do find, some people don't mind being on camera and talking on camera and, being interviewed on camera. While others, they don't mind being interviewed, but they're a little camera shy. So I was thinking just make like an audio interview with that. So in that sense, I might do something pre-recorded. But as far as me actually scheduling time to sit down and do a pre-recorded podcast, I don't really have the time for that, at least not right now. Who knows, maybe that'll be a project for next year. But this year I'm working on a new album. I'm doing just, you know, as well as a few other projects. And like I said before, that's going to take up a pretty good chunk of my time. So yeah, so I think instead I'm going to be doing these live streams. And I am going to be having a couple of pretty cool guests on future live streams, and I'm really excited about that. So I am going to, you know, talk a little bit more about that later on too tonight. But I'm really enjoying doing these live streams, to be honest with you. I like getting on here. I like, you know, interacting. I like interacting with you. I like, you know, I just kind of like the whole live. I've come to really love the whole live stream aspect. Something I kind of started early last year, and I really picked it up during the first quarantine. And I really just came to enjoy doing that, you know, just kind of experimenting a little bit here and there at first with them, and, you know, and then just flat out doing, you know, just kind of doing them regularly. And then of course, after quarantine, we got back into our regular schedules, or at least, you know, at least to a very large extent we did. And, you know, and then, you know, I couldn't do them as regularly, but I'd like to keep these tavern live streams fairly regular. So yeah, I might also take them, I do them largely on Facebook. I've been doing them largely here on Facebook, but I might take a couple to Instagram, you know, just to kind of play around with it and see, you know, see what works, you know, what might work, you know, who knows, maybe Instagram might work better, maybe I find this Facebook one works better, who knows, and either way, I mean, they're going to be, after the live stream ends, I am going to be putting them up on all of my other social media and platforms, so, you know, so there's a, you know, so there's always that, so if you don't catch it the first time, there will always be a replay. But yeah, I've been actually quite busy this first week of 2021. In a way, I almost feel like I've already done a year's worth of stuff. But like definitely, I'd love to know what you're doing. That's one of the reasons why I love doing these live streams, because I like to, you know, read your immediate comments and, you know, just kind of interact with you through that. So yeah, so definitely post in the comments, what have you been doing like this first week of 2021? My first week of 2021, I've once again, I started, I kind of decided where I want this live stream to go. I'm going to be working on, as we go, I'm going to be working on, like I said, more the tavern aesthetic for these live streams. But for now, this is the starting point, my 18th century mug and my candle on a wooden surface. So, so that's kind of where we're starting with this, but I do plan to kind of grow the whole tavern aesthetic and just really make it kind of cool looking. So, you know, play around with the lighting maybe. Who knows? We'll see. You know, just like I said, I'll just kind of slowly start adding things, and we'll see how it looks and turns out. You know, so I started that. I also started, you know, let me get out my planner, sort of like a little cheat sheet here, because it's like, yeah, because like I said, I've been quite busy this, you know, this first week of 2021. So, all right, so you know, definitely I'm starting to kind of get the 2021 schedule for the museum going. I started back at the gym, where I'm also a trainer, and I've started working on my album. Like I said before, it's inspired by events of Tudor England, and I'm really excited about that. And I've started making the arrangements for the traditional songs that I'm going to be using, and I've also started writing the lyrics and compiling the lyrics for the original songs. So I've been getting underway with that. I've just been, like I said, working on the album. That's going to take up a huge chunk of my year. I've finished, I think, not decluttering, but just kind of like, getting rid of stuff that I don't need and donating them, and just making more space in my apartment and everything. I've been doing that, and I have also been just getting some last minute arrangements and things together for the EP that I'm going to be releasing at the end of this month. It's myself, and also I'm collaborating with some of my musician friends on this one, and I'm looking forward to releasing it. And so I've been doing a little bit of that. And yeah, it's been just kind of getting all of that together. And also let's see, what else did I do? Like I said, cheat sheet with my planner here. Yeah, but tomorrow I'm going to be doing some recording. I'm going to be recording one of the a guitar player for a song on the EP. I am going to be then next week putting some finishing touches on the recording of a song that's going to, on the EP that's going to be released at the end of this month. So yeah, so I've just been kind of getting all that together, making all of those arrangements, and just planning everything out. And that is along with other things, my meal prep, my gym time, all that stuff, and just getting all of that in order. So yeah, so I am, just like I said, it's been a busy week. I'm kind of getting into the routine that I'm going to be getting into on, during, for this year and everything. And yeah, I think it's going to be fun. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be rewatching the Tudors, just because, like I said, you never know what sort of inspiration that might come from that, like for a song, if you will. And also, I've been hearing really good things about the film on Anne Boleyn, Anne of 1,000 Days. So I'll be watching that too, and maybe kind of, just discussing it on a future Tavern Livestream. And and I am also, hey, maybe we can have like a little watch party. So yeah, if you'd want to have like a Tudors watch party, like that would, I'd be down for that. So yeah, let me know if definitely let me know if you'd be down for something like that. But yeah, there's just all sorts of things that are coming up. But my album is going to be I'd say the one that's really going to be probably my biggest project this year. So yeah, so definitely let me know what you've been up to so far this week of 2021. So yeah, now on to what I said we were going to be discussing tonight. Tavern food and beverage. So in my travels to historic towns, and also when I would play gigs with the early music group Wayward Companions, of course we would have we'd sometimes eat in taverns. I've eaten in taverns in my travels. I do try to hit up especially some period correct taverns as well. Some, say for instance, when I'm in Gettysburg, I try to hit up, especially the Dobbins Tavern, or the Farnsworth Inn, things like that. Also, I've eaten in Sweeney's Tavern, which is also part of the Farnsworth Inn. And then, of course, when I would play gigs, what I would do then is also have, we would often put on, Wayward Companions and I and Pittsburgh Historical Music Society, we would very often put on our own tavern nights. And a lot of the time, we would either, we usually would employ a chef to cook, to serve the meals, to prepare the meals. And one thing that, when you're doing trying to do a period correct tavern night for a modern audience, one of the tricks is to try to make the tavern food as authentic as possible, but at the same time, also with trying to make it accessible, I guess, if you will, to a modern palate, because food back, say 200 years ago, they didn't use, they did use spices, but they didn't use things like sugar or things, they used sugar, but it was more expensive, so they were, very, very frugal when it came to some of their sugar and some of the spices and things that they used. So, so basically, so you do and some of it is, some, food like that is, like say 18th century food, or even 19th century food, or even early 20th century food. It tends to be, sometimes a modern palate might find it a little bit bland. So you kind of have to find that kind of happy medium there, when, where you would have, like I said, kind of present present things in an accurate way, but also have it to where, people of a modern palate and, might enjoy it. Now, some of my personal favorites have been, for one of our tavern nights, we had this very, very delicious pumpkin soup. And if you enjoy sort of like more of like a cream soup, or like a pumpkin cream soup, or, something like that, it's quite delicious. And I really want to get the recipe for it. And the good thing about a lot of period food is if you're on kind of a paleo way of diet or way of eating. I hate to say diet, because it's a way of eating, it's a way of life. But if you do more like the paleo thing, you can actually find a lot of period correct food that actually helps cater to that. So, but there's a pumpkin soup that's quite good that I really, really enjoyed. We've also had a savory cream of mushroom soup as well, which was also quite good too. And then of course we had things like roast chicken and like roasted potatoes and just like some sort of, usually a root vegetable of some kind. And those were always quite delicious. So when we would want to be putting on more of like to try to create a more period authentic atmosphere, that was that's usually a typical meal that would be served. And one time we had things like something like shepherd's pie. Sometimes I think there was one time we had like a stew or something like that. But the thing is, it's like they actually had, say for instance in the 18th century, because that's what these are, cookbooks from the 18th and 19th centuries. And I'll be kind of sharing a little bit of this in a little bit here. But when that's typically what we would have when we would be presenting a period correct 18th or 19th century type of type of a meal. However, I have gone to taverns that they have the whole aesthetic of their time period, and they may even be still original to their time period. Of course, they've been kept up and maybe renovated a bit through the years, obviously to make them up to code, if you will. But while their atmosphere is very much entrenched in their era, the food they serve modern food, and an example of this would be, like, say, the Dobbins Tavern in Gettysburg. Another one would be Sweeney's Tavern in Gettysburg. However, if you, like I said, Sweeney's Tavern is also part of the Farnsworth House Inn. But if you go and you dine in the Farnsworth House Inn, in their dining area, you will have some period correct food. One is their peanut soup, or their goober soup, it's called, and that's actually quite good. I've had it before, and that was said to be a popular soup with a lot of the soldiers of the Civil War. So the Farnsworth House Inn does serve up some period correct stuff. They also have a delicious bread. I think it was bread pudding. That was also very good too. And that was something that the soldiers often enjoyed. It was spooned bread. Yes, where you were actually able to, like, basically eat the bread with the spoon. It kind of tasted like French toast. It was actually very good. And then also, they also make it's called the Jenny Wade bread. And if you don't know who Jenny Wade is, I did do an episode on her in my Dark Side of the Labyrinth episode. So perhaps I'll link to that in the description below if you don't know who Jenny Wade was. But I have, like I said, eaten in several taverns, and, we've had our tavern nights with the music group, as well as the Pittsburgh Historical Music Society. And, I've had a variety of foods from there. And the foods actually from, 200 years ago, they actually had more of a variety than people tend to think. And, and because a lot of people, they tend to think that, they only ate like stews, which they did. And that was often a very, very easy meal to prepare. But I've taken a couple of cooking classes, 18th and 19th century cooking classes. I took a hearth cooking class, and I've also taken cooking in a beehive bake oven. So I do have experience with that, with both of those. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in that area, but I'm just enough to be familiar with the process. And one thing, because they did introduce us to actually Ed Tutino, who I interviewed in the Fort Ligonier episode of Inside the Labyrinth, which I might be changing the name for that, by the way, too. But I interviewed Ed Tutino, and he actually was the instructor for my hearth cooking class and my beehive bake oven class. But he's quite knowledgeable, and he actually, not only did he introduce us to, basically how to cook a meal over a hearth and in a bake oven, he also introduced me to, or us, those of us that were taking the class, to several cookbooks to look into. Now, this he did not introduce me to. This actually I picked up on my last trip to Gettysburg. Favorite recipes of the Dobbin House Tavern. Okay, so and just this is just a little example of, now this would be more 19th century, but this is just a little example of the variety of food they actually did have. This is sour cream orange muffins, which sound delicious, and chocolate fondue. I've actually had a lot of people surprised, like when I'm doing house tours and everything. I've actually had people quite surprised that they had chocolate back then. Yeah, they had chocolate back then. Chocolate's been around for quite some time. Apple Waldorf salad, which I might actually try making this sometime. Roast duck, Adams County, grilled marinated chicken, and another roast duck. Okay, and then also wassail, which is that's actually a holiday drink. And the traditional holiday drink, it was kept warm on the fire in the kitchen during the Dobbins colonial Christmas to warm up their many guests. So the Dobbin House Tavern was actually built in the 18th century, but it was quite instrumental during the Civil War, because the Reverend the Reverend Dobbins, he was very much anti-slavery, so he helped hide a lot of runaway slaves in his home, so that they could be kept safe before they would continue on toward their next destination. So that's I always enjoy visiting there when I go to Gettysburg. The other one, it's the Williamsburg Art of Cookery. There's all sorts of things in here as well. On the cover, there's soups and sauces. Soups and sauces. There you go. Flesh and fish, which flesh and fish probably meat. Breads, garden stuff, pastry, preserving, confectionery, cakes, puddings, wines, and punches, all sorts of things. And then Mrs. Mary Eales's receipts. In fact, they weren't called recipes back then. They were actually they were called receipts. So recipe books were receipt books. And she was a confectioner. And so there's all sorts of just like cherry paste and all sorts of preserves, jellies, things like that are in this one. And then this is one of the more popular ones. It was written by a woman named. It was compiled by a woman named Hannah Glass during the early 19th century, and the Art of Cookery, made plain and easy, the revolutionary 1805 classic. There's all sorts of things in here. The only thing is, like, when you're looking at some of the original recipes or receipts, if you will, the only thing about that is they often didn't record their receipts in how today we have, like, say for instance, 1 cup of sugar, 2 cups of flour, things like that. It's a little bit more disorganized, I guess, because it's like they don't really, like, you kind of have to do the guesswork for some of these recipes. Yeah, for instance, to dress a duck with green peas is one. They give you enough direction, I would say, to get an idea for what you're supposed to be making, but it's not as, bullet point and in order as, say, a modern day recipe book. And this is probably because I know, like, say, for instance, with my grandmother's recipes and my great-grandma's recipes, they would often just kind of jot it down as they knew it, because they knew how to make it. So they would very often, and this is also how they, 200 years ago too, it's like, they knew how to make it, so they would just kind of quickly write down, like, what they were doing, just throw in some flour, do this. So it's kind of like, if you're going to follow an 18th or 19th century recipe, you almost kind of have to just read between the lines and maybe use your own knowledge for cooking for a lot of these. But yeah, but it's definitely very possible to make these. Like I said, I mean, I've taken a couple cooking classes, and I mean, the meals turned out fine. Another one, it's the First American Cookbook by Amelia Simmons. This was, she compiled this in 1796. And then this one's really cool. It's the Old Sturbridge Village Cookbook. And this is actually a compilation of a few different receipts that were taken from a couple different receipt books. And what's really cool about this one, and this is one of the books that Ed introduced me to, what's cool about this one is that they actually tell you some of the history behind some of the women that wrote these receipt books, and just how influential they were. Because, you know, sometimes you think, oh, you know, they wrote a receipt book, you know, how could that be influential? But yeah, but these women that wrote that, came out with these receipt books, or recipe books as we would call them today, they were actually quite influential in their day. And it's really, really cool, like reading some of the history of them. And yeah, I believe March is Women's History Month. So who knows, maybe I'll like talk a little bit about each of these women in that are featured in the Old Sturbridge Village Cookbook. So yeah, I mean, there's one woman that I think she put, like, I remember, I'll have to read through these again, but she actually helped put, it was either her brother or her husband through law school with the sales of her books. So that, there you go, ladies, that's kind of cool right there. But yeah, but I definitely will be talking more about these women, just because, like I said, the fact that they were so they wrote these cookbooks and were so influential with them, with both men and women, I think it's really, really fascinating, because I think a lot of the time when we think of people that were, influential through history, whether that person's male or female, when we think about that, we think about, they led some revolution, or they wrote some revolutionary document, something like that, which, obviously that's really cool. But I also think too, to look at maybe some of like the lesser known people, and the things that they did and how they were able to be an influence on their community and so on. I think, I'd like to kind of focus on that a little bit too. So yeah, but those are some of the period cookbooks that I have. And yeah, and I am just really looking forward to 2021. And 2020 was such like a crazy year. Had to do a lot of regrouping and kind of rerouting to reach some goals and things that I wanted to do. But I'm looking forward to 2021. I'm looking forward to putting out the new music, and I'm also really looking forward to, my light went out, but oh well. Yeah, that's because my laptop went dark. So because the light is attached to my laptop, but oh well. See, it's a little bit more, I guess, authentic tavern lighting. Who knows? Maybe we'll do this next time. But like I said, I'll play around with the lighting a little bit, and we'll see what happens. I'll play around with the aesthetic a little. We'll see what happens. And like I said before, we're going to be I'm going to be bringing on some really cool people, some really cool guests that I'm going to be having on here, and really looking forward to it. And yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually talking to some people right now, and I am going to be just announcing them as things are confirmed. So yeah, so I look forward to doing these taverns with you, and thank you for tuning in. And if you're tuning in after the fact, after the live stream, thank you for coming and watching, and cheers and huzzah. Hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will catch you another time. So yes, and who knows, maybe next time I will have a cool guest on. So all right, hope you have a beautiful weekend. All right, cheers to you. All right, yes, have a lovely weekend. Have just a great week, a great 2021. All right, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye, and once again, cheers.